Alright, hi everybody, my name is Matti, Guillette, and welcome to my senior TED Talk. My essential question is, can ocean therapy treatment be effective in promoting relaxation, reducing stress, and in relieving symptoms of mood disorders by utilizing multifactorial approaches such as neuroscience and evolutionary biology, ocean-based occupational therapy, and active and passive proximity to the ocean? So quickly, can I get a show of hands who in here knows someone or personally struggles with mental health issues? Cool, so that's a majority of us. I wanted to start off by showing you guys some cool statistics that I found, and these ones are from the National Health Service of the United Kingdom. Cool, so this particular graph shows the proportion of people with severe symptoms of a common mental health disorder. And you can see, obviously, that mental illnesses are increasing over time. Another cool diagram I have to show you guys is the increase in antidepressant drug prescriptions between the years 2006. What's the laser button? This one?
Yep.
Okay, 2006 and then 2016, and it actually increased over 108.5%, which is quite a big increase for 10 years. Some other statistics that I have is that the National Alliance of Mental Health released between the years 2012 and 2015, the rates of children with suffering with severe depression went from 5.9% to 8.2%. So that's a pretty big increase as well. And also, 1 in 5 adults suffer from a mental health condition. So it's pretty significant. So there's all these issues that seem to be obviously increasing when treatments and other options for people with these issues seem to not be increasing as much. It's kind of the same treatment plans, medication, therapy, and there's not as many new things coming out. So today, I wanted to tell you guys about a form of therapy that I personally have been using for my different diagnoses. And yeah, as a kid, Can you?
Oh.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So as a kid, I always had this really profound, turn it down a little bit. Really profound attachment to the ocean. And I felt like all of these symptoms that I had as a patient would kind of dissolve and go away when I was near the ocean and near the beach, and that made me want to just go to the beach all the time. I still wish I was there right now. So, yeah, that kind of made me think about it. And, for example, when I go on vacation and I'm in the car, the most exciting thing for me is the first moment that I can see the horizon turn blue and I can see the ocean. That gives me more excitement than anything else I think I experience in life. So when I was trying to plan my senior project, I was like, oh, what do I do? There's no ocean in Colorado. Do I go to the fish hatchery and learn about trout? Do I go to the fish connection and clean fish tanks? That's not what I want to do. So, let's see. I was getting kind of defeated and annoyed with all of these ideas. I really wanted to do something that I liked and that I was passionate about. And as every mental health patient does, I was kind of contemplating my own happiness and contemplating what really makes me happy and why. So yeah, I started wondering why it's so important for me to be near the ocean and if anyone else kind of felt this sense of relief when they visited it. So I started to research and I found ocean therapy. So in order to understand kind of how ocean therapy works, we kind of need to have a better understanding of the brain itself. So I wanted to start by sharing a study done by Sands Research. It examined 45 different women who were viewing videos with commercials. So they were watching Saturday Night Live, and 3 different videos of ocean environments would pop up during the commercials. The first one was a swimming turtle. The second was a underwater kelp forest. And the third was a clip from the point of view of a scuba diver. So brain scans from an EEG machine and eye movements were used to measure the reactions of the participants. The reading indicated that exposure to ocean environments evoked positive emotions and sustained attention among participants. And they also showed that cognitive engagement was lower when participants viewed the ocean videos. So, to understand kind of how that happens, I have some diagrams of the brain for you. So focused time in nature has been shown to turn off or distract the frontal lobe, which is right here. And that part of your brain is in charge of cognitive control and attention. It's like your memory, really kind of where those strict things happen in your brain. And natural environments like the ocean are really predictable to our brains because we we evolved in nature. So nature is really predictable to us compared to urban environments. And so we know that when we're in natural environments, our frontal lobe is turned off, and that gives the brain, we still have all this energy in our brain and it needs to go to other places. So this is the amygdala actually right there, and that's a tiny little almond-shaped dealio in your brain that is in charge of creating your emotion. So it actually activates your amygdala and turns off the part of your brain that's trying to process everything. So essentially it really does calm you down and provide like therapeutic effects to be in nature in general, but in my case especially to be near the ocean. So most of you guys probably already use water in some form as a form of therapy. Things like motorboating, snorkeling, kayaking, fishing, water skiing, jet skiing, sailing, scuba diving, swimming, so many different things. But the most popular and recognized form of ocean therapy is surf therapy. Oh, these are some different ways to enjoy the ocean. And here's a nice veteran we have on a surfboard. So one study done by the American Journal of Occupational Therapy shows that surfing is effective in introducing soldiers back into society, boosting their self-efficiency, and relieving symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. So participants in this particular report showed that their symptom severity was significantly lower after a 5-week study, and that the PTSD symptom score dropped by 21 points. Countless programs and therapy centers use surf therapy and things like it for people of all ages, disabilities, and mental statuses. So there's this man, his name is Sergeant Andrew Monsey. He served in Iraq, and when he came back to the United States, he had PTSD. So he discovered that by surfing, he was able to get his life back together, and he started a nonprofit organization called Warrior Surf. It provides free surfing lessons and therapy for veterans and their families. And here's a little clip it.
You want to turn the volume up real quick?
Yeah. So.
Sometimes it's hard to think back, and I probably try not to. I love my nation, I love my country, I love its people. I'm so thankful that I got to serve them. But after that many years of service, you pick up a lot of baggage that you don't want. It was just a constant downward spiral, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I bunkered for almost 4 solid years. I'm like a lot of other vets. Hell no, I don't have PTSD. You know, that's stupid. You know, that's for the wimps. Got it? All right. Wax and stuff. Warrior Surf, it's been about the only thing that really works for me, because it puts you in contact with other vets. Just go on the info page and Warrior Surf info page. Ask, request, and I'll approve you. You get ripped out of the military and you lose your family, and you really do feel alone. You come back to Warrior Surf and all of a sudden you got brothers and sisters. It's like my family is back. When you go out there, you've got to choose the way you're going to run. And I think without the therapy, you're letting the nightmares, you're letting everything just push you every different direction. But you go out there to surf and you've got to pick your own way. And so what I try to do every day is pick the positive things to focus on, you know, and not the other stuff is just trash. I have PTSD, but PTSD doesn't have me. One of the huge things that in my life that I know has changed, I have a special needs son, and he loves movies. Going into a crowded, dark place is a huge trigger. But this last year, I got to go to the movie with him. I took him to the movie on his birthday. I'm really thankful for Andy getting me to the place where, you know, I can go and be with my kids. it's just such a phenomenal feeling that we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay because Andy ain't going to give up on us. So.
All right. Let's see if I can find this. Okay. So, in the last 2 years, this man alone was able to help over 300 people with surf therapy. So there's a pretty big demand, especially among veterans. So although veterans with PTSD is probably the biggest market for ocean therapy right now, other ocean-based occupational therapies are available for all people. So sailing and kayaking and fishing are all examples of surf therapy that already have existing programs out there. And with that being said, I want to share that there are 2 ways to benefit from the ocean. So, the first way of benefiting from the ocean is passive proximity.
I'm at the computer. This one. Okay.
Oh.
There we go.
So, passive proximity is basically looking at the ocean or looking at a picture of the ocean, watching a video of the ocean. And a really cool study that demonstrates the power of this was done by the National Marine Aquarium in Plymouth, England. So they conducted a study that monitored the heart rate, blood pressure, relaxation, and moods of 112 participants who spent time observing an aquarium tank with various levels of biodiversity. So the study found that all levels of biodiversity were shown to drop participants' blood pressure in just the first 5 minutes of observation, and that's among everybody. And then the most significant changes in heart rate, relaxation, and mood occurred when the participants were observing the highest level of biodiversity. This is an example of how looking at the ocean or videos of the ocean can benefit you both mentally and physically. So that brings us to active proximity, which is physically interacting with the ocean and being there. Or properties of it. So these are effective because seawater and water in general, seawater specifically, is really rich in different iodine, trace elements. It has a lot that's good for your skin and for your body. So the very first form of ocean therapy ever was discovered in the 1800s. It's called thalassotherapy. And thalassotherapy is the actual therapy of using seawater in order to gain from it. So, forms of this are cold and hot water sea tubs, and then also seawater treatment. So you kind of find these at all spas. Probably even spas in Colorado have some type of like seawater or seaweed treatment. And yeah, those are known to be pretty effective just because the water is so rich in elements and iodine. Physically immersing yourself in water is actually scientifically proven to be therapeutic. The director of the National Aquatics and Sports Medicine Institute at Washington State University, his name is Bruce E. Becker, and he explains that the pressure of water outside your body is greater than the pressure inside of your body. So when you're in water, it forces the blood away from your extremities and towards your heart and lungs. So your heart begins to work harder, pump faster, and pushing a higher blood volume efficiently through your body. It actually circulates more than 30% more blood volume when you're in water. And in order to keep up with all of this extra blood and these extra things happening, your arterial blood vessels relax, and less resistance to blood flow, which triggers your body to release this hormone. And this hormone is called catecholamine, which can induce dopamine and adrenaline simultaneously. So that's also known to be therapeutic. Something else to note is that the beach has a very high concentration of negative ions, and although it's controversial, and Kyle may not necessarily agree with this one, there are studies, one particularly done by Columbia University, that shows that exposure to a negative ionizer can actually treat depression possibly as much as antidepressants can. So how do all of these things kind of tie together into one perfectly packaged ocean therapy box? The answer to that is that it doesn't. Like, there's no way to kind of make a one-size-fits-all, this will cure all of your issues. Because our brains are so complex and essentially wired differently. Everybody has a different brain chemistry. So my suggestion would be for mental health professionals that are looking to utilize this to come up with individualized treatment plans for every patient. That includes ocean-based occupational therapy. And if you don't know, occupational therapy is therapy that includes like movement or a type of, how do I explain it? Like, you could be drawing or coloring could be occupational therapy, anything that is keeping you busy. So ocean-based occupational therapy, mostly sports-based, like surfing, sailing, kayaking, even fishing, would be really effective if it was combined with other elements of ocean therapy, like thalassotherapy or negative ionization. And it will probably mostly be the most effective if you combine different elements of ocean therapy and personalize it to a specific patient. So I really hope you guys are inspired to go fishing or take a bath, swim, or spend more time in our natural environments. And thank you guys all so much for attending my talk. I hope that you can use what I've shared to convince your family to take you to the ocean.